I had come to the conclusion a long time ago that there was no escape from the labyrinth of contradictions in which we live, except by an entirely new road, unlike anything hitherto known or used by us. Beyond the thin film of false reality, there existed another reality, from which, for some reason, something separated us. The miraculous was a penetration into this unknown reality. It is possible to stop being a machine, but for that, it is necessary first of all to know the machine. A machine, a real machine, does not know itself and cannot know itself. When a machine knows itself, it is then no longer a machine. At least, not such a machine as it was before. It already begins to be responsible for its actions. This means, according to you, that a man is not responsible for his actions? I asked. A man is responsible. A machine is not responsible. Man's chief delusion is his conviction that he can do. If people were different, everything would be different. They are what they are, so everything is as it is. If a man in prison was at any time to have a chance of escape, then he must first of all realize that he is in prison. So long as he fails to realize this, so long as he thinks he is free, he has no chance whatever. If there is anything in a man able to resist external influences, then this very thing itself may also be able to resist the death of the physical body. If a man lives without inner struggle, if everything happens in him without opposition, if he goes wherever he is drawn, or wherever the wind blows, he will remain such as he is. One was struck by a great inner simplicity and naturalness in him, which made one completely forget that he was, for us, the representative of the world of the miraculous and the unknown. But first of all, another thing must be understood, namely, that knowledge cannot belong to all, cannot even belong to many. Such is the law. You do not understand this because you do not understand that knowledge, like everything else in the world, is material. The collecting of knowledge by some depends upon the rejection of knowledge by others. The acquisition of transmission of true knowledge demands great labor and great effort both of him who receives and of him who gives. A man can only attain knowledge with the help of those who possess it. This must be understood from the very beginning. One must learn from him who knows. The fire by means of which fusion is attained is produced by friction, which in its turn is produced in man by the struggle between yes and no. If a man gives way to all his desires or panders to them, there will be no inner struggle in him, no friction, no fire. The religions of the West have degenerated to such an extent that for a long time there has been nothing alive in them. Yes, That is because people believe in progress and culture. Said G, there is no progress whatsoever. Everything is just the same as it was thousands and tens of thousands of years ago. The outward form changes. The essence does not change. It is precisely in unconscious, involuntary manifestations that all evil lies. Activity of the human machine, that is, of the physical body, is controlled not by one, but by several minds, entirely independent of each other. Man must understand this. His evolution is necessary only to himself. No one else is interested in it, and no one is obliged or intends to help him. What is possible for individual man is impossible for the masses. The evolution of man is the evolution of his consciousness, and consciousness cannot evolve unconsciously. The evolution of man is the evolution of his will, and will cannot evolve involuntarily. The evolution of man is the evolution of his power of doing, and doing cannot be the result of things which happen. Man has no individual I, but there are, instead, hundreds and thousands of separate small I's, very often entirely unknown to one another. In order to realize these possibilities, he must have a very strong desire for liberation and willing to sacrifice everything, to risk everything, for the sake of this liberation. A modern man lives in sleep. In sleep he is born, and in sleep he dies. Nothing evolves mechanically. Only degeneration and destruction proceed mechanically. It is impossible to study a system of the universe without studying man. At the same time, it is impossible to study man without studying the universe. We live in a world very far from the will of the Absolute, and in a very remote and dark corner of the universe. The idea of a miracle, in the sense of a violation of laws by the will which made them, is not only contrary to common sense, but to the very idea of will itself. A miracle can only be a manifestation of laws which are unknown to men or rarely met with. In the economy of the universe, nothing is lost, and a certain energy, having finished its work on one plane, goes to another. In life, it still happens sometimes that a man gets a legacy and afterwards lives without doing anything. But such a thing does not happen in the work. All are equal, and all are equally beggars. The mind must learn to control the emotions. The emotions always pull the body after them. This is the order in which work on oneself must proceed. You get teachings, traditions, prayers, rites, not at fifth, but at 25th hand, and, of course, almost everything has been distorted beyond recognition, and everything essential forgotten long ago.